Well, hello everybody. This is Patty with Get Balanced 2020, and you have come into a series that for April called Getting Back to the Roots. And with Get Balanced 2020, what we do is we teach and educate people for free about mind, spirituality, and body. So your mind is all about our thought process, and our spirituality is where we base our beliefs from. It's not about religion. It's about what you believe in for yourself and your life and your purpose and that kind of thing. But we also talk about a little hoo-hoo-ness, a little bit of abilities and gifts because a lot of us people have them. And then we also talk about body as far as nutrition and fitness. And we put all those elements together to get balanced lifestyle for a positive, successful lifestyle for whatever that is for you. So that's what Get Balanced 2020 is. And I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping because we are on YouTube and Facebook. And so what I want to do at this time is just do a little bit of housekeeping. So if you've never been to Get Balanced 2020, I do have a website and you can go to getbalance2020.com and check out all the videos we have. There's a YouTube button at the top where you can see all the videos that I have out there about how to help change or transform your process of your mind to a positive. Then also too, there's a lot of information about me, how to set up appointments if you want to. There is no need or anything to pay for anything. I'm trying to do this all for free to help people out in the community to just better their life. That's it. So you can go to my website, my Facebook. You can go to Get Balanced 2020, Patty Hall, and join and be a friend there. Once we hit 5,000, then we'll go up to a business and do the likes and things like that. But there's a lot of inspiration, a lot of things like that for there. If you have questions, you want to join in on a chat, that kind of thing, I'd be happy to do that with you. And then also on YouTube. Now, this month of April, we're coming to the end where we have a series of the Getting to the Roots. So there is a 4-week series. So there's 4 weeks of mind, 4 weeks of spirituality, 4 weeks of nutrition and fitness. So make sure you look at all those because what the whole idea is to get to the roots. But the most important thing, and this is the end of the housekeeping, is to please, please, please like, share, or subscribe. Especially if you don't want to subscribe, at least like and share, whether it be Facebook or the YouTube, because that's how we as people who have YouTube channels can grow and help other people. If you don't like or share, then it doesn't get out there enough. So we ask you to share to your friends. I ask you to share to your friends and your family. If you think that they're not living their life to the fullest, the most positive, the most constructive way, because that is what I like to do. I like to inspire, mentor, and grow people to their most biggest potential that they're put on this earth for. So with that, let's get started. So this is week 3 of Mind. So last week, just really quick, and I'm not going to go into it because I want you to go watch the video, is we talked about negative thinking. We talked about catching it. Your homework was to catch every time you thought of something negative and transfer it to a positive. And so, example, I'm not good enough to do that. But maybe you are and you don't even know that because you never tried it. So I'm not good enough to do that. So changing it to the positive, you know what? I've never tried that. Maybe I am good at that. So those kind of things, we want to switch it. And if you don't know how to do that, just all you have to do is think of the opposite of whatever it is, good, bad, up, down, left, right, those kind of things. So you want to do that. And if you really don't understand how to do that, if you go to Google, you could probably figure that out there. Or you can go back to my videos and watch those because that's where it's at too. All right. So what we're doing with this whole series is when we're getting back to the roots is we started out with the tree. Okay. So we started out, this is where our foundation is. Just like a house is built, we're built on a foundation. Sometimes those foundations get cracks in them. So that would be for a human being, our brokenness, our traumas, all those kind of things. And those kind of things that happen to us that might have been a circumstance. It may not have. You might have been born into it. You may have made some poor choices because of your roots and the way that your thought process wasn't actually processing properly, if I put it that way, and nice, because that'll get people coming feeding back at me. So we started talking in weeks 1 and 2 about the roots, getting to the roots, how to get to the roots. And it does get deep and ugly because the earth is really dark, and we have to go to those dark places, whether it's trauma, abuse, addiction. We have to go to those and find out who, what, why, when, and where all that started. So that was for week 1 and 2. So we want to go into week 3. We want to start moving up into the trunk, because what we did last week, or the last session, was we went into some of the issues that we have, like low self-esteem. What are some of them? Low self-esteem, low confidence, low self-worth, those kind of things. We want to build those up. And the only way that we can build and grow and restore ourselves to a healthy mindset is to actually get deep and dark underneath that earth and get into the roots. And so when we go to our spirituality video, we talk about shadow work, negative work, dark work, low energies, low vibrations. We talk about those kind of things, because a lot of us, what we think with our mind, we also put together with our spirit. And so with our spirit, that is where we actually start our process. So in our mind, when we're talking about negativism and things like that, that's actually, where did it start? Now we're going to go moving up the tree a little bit to the trunk, because here's the thing with the trunk. Our trunk of our tree is our conscious mind. Pretty much. This is the way I think about it. Other people may not. But that's where our conscious mind is. And where the roots are, that's our subconscious mind. So that's where things are formed. That's where things are built. That's where things start going up. And this is where we process, and why we process. Sometimes we have dreams of nightmares, terrors, all those kind of things. All that's from your subconscious mind. Now, if you want to go into spirituality, you can talk about dimensions and realms and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going into that. So I know that people will try to. So, but you have to understand that your subconscious is being developed. It's being developed as a baby. It's being developed as a toddler. It's being developed as a child. And it's a lot of it has to do with who our teacher is, what our circumstance is, and what we're put into. But it doesn't mean you stay there. As we grow up the tree and become the trunk, then that's where our conscious mind comes in. And now as adults, I'm mainly talking to adults, but if you're a young teen, this is great for you, because you're getting a head start where I wished I would have a long, long time ago. So what you want to do is basically understand that the trunk is your daily conscious thinking, what pops into your head and all that kind of stuff. And your roots are your subconscious of, okay, why did I just think that? Well, it's probably buried really deep why you thought that. So if I give you an example, abuse, okay, everybody knows that I've gone through some different types of abuse. But the thing is, when I brought up my thought process of another person, a situation, or whatever, my roots were actually formed by what somebody else was telling me I was, how I was, and who I was. When in reality, as we talked in the last video, that is not true. So you have to get to your own roots and do your dark work in order to find out who you are and how to get yourself restored and build up and get all those chains. Just imagine yourself just like Houdini with chains everywhere around, and that's what you're feeling. This is what you feel when you cannot. I'm getting goosebumps. Thank you. If you are all chained up, you cannot move, you cannot breathe, you cannot be you. So that's the thing, is we want to break all those chains off. So imagine those chains coming off, and what a free feeling that is. So we talked about the potted plant versus a tree. Okay, we want to make sure that those roots are planted so they can spread out, and we want to make sure that that we don't become the pot and stay just like this and never change, never transform, never grow. Because that's the whole thing for being here, is to grow into the most beautiful person that you are put here to be. All right. So we're going to talk about the subconscious versus the conscious, because now we're in the conscious state of mind. And so that is what you do in the day. You think every day. You work, you You play, you do whatever, you make decisions. You're going to go buy a car. Why am I making the decision to buy this car, this color, this type of car? Where's that coming from? Okay, so it's a lot of those things are coming from your subconscious. Now, a lot of people like to talk about relationships. When I was training people, a lot of the times they want to talk about their spouse. They want to lose weight for their spouse. They want to look nice for their spouse. They want to do, everything for their spouse when actually they first needed to look at themselves and do it for themselves, right? So what we want to look at is when we're thinking about what we're doing, why we're doing it, and we're going to stay on that negative nanny attitude because a lot of that negative nanny attitude that we need to change comes from fear. And if you're angry all the time, if you're mad, I've got somebody I know that is mad all the time. And I'm like, what are you mad about? I don't know. Well, it's something deep inside that they just don't want to express, or maybe they don't know because they don't know where the roots are. So that whatever comes out of their mouth or their actions or anything like that, it causes them to think, I don't know why you told me to say that, but okay. So I just got, okay, right now what's really popular is this Tiger King thing. Okay, and so a lot of the things that he was doing, if you've watched the series, I sat through it, and everybody thought it was funny and laughed and everything. And I actually thought it was pretty sad because here's the thing. I bet you that gentleman wouldn't have done all the things that he did if his roots were not in a different place and if his circumstances would have done differently from his family, his father at this point in time. He may have not reacted, and acted out all these bad things that he did. That's his conscious mind, but his subconscious is telling him what to do. So everything that he deep in his heart probably wanted to do right, he probably couldn't because of what was formed and what happened to the thought process of what he was told. Okay, for those of you who don't know the Tiger King, he started out as a young man. He was gay and he stayed in the closet. And then when he decided to tell his father, it turned out devastating for him. It made him begin to go into a spiral. No, that's not an excuse. We talked about excuses last time, and that's not an excuse to go ahead and do bad behavior and turn out bad. But we have to go back and look at the roots of where it started when. Because when we go to our conscious mind in a day, we have to go back to that little child that he was. And you'll hear people we talk about that in spirituality, inner child work, okay, or shadow work. So we have to go back to those places that are really deep, deep, deep as a little tiny person and feel that hurt again. Unfortunately, cry our eyes out, get through it, and understand that that little person who was hurt back then, we need to comfort them. We need to thank them for being strong of who they were. We need to actually grow that little person up to the adult we are now. Because as an adult we are now, we should be able to do whatever we want, how we want, when we want, as long as it's constructive and in love and in for our growth, for the growth for our purpose here on earth. Okay? So we have to go back. Every time you think of your conscious mind, you're making a decision or you're talking or you're going to say something. Now, words are really, really powerful. So you really need to step back before you sit there and say anything and evaluate, why am I saying, and you can do it in a second. Once you start training yourself, you do it in a second. Why am I going to say this? Should I say this? Should I not say this? And then you have to really check yourself. What is my spirit telling me? Now, I probably shouldn't say that. No, you probably shouldn't then. Maybe not at the right time to say whatever it is. And maybe sort of like a boss scolding somebody in front of other people. How devastating is that? Embarrassing. And it's the wrong thing to do when they should take them aside and do it privately on the side. Same thing. You need to check yourself from your subconscious. You got to go back a little bit, and it will take time to learn how to do this. This is not something, any of my videos that you're watching about getting back to the roots is not an easy process, and it's something that you have to watch or do over and over and over and over again. And it will come. It's like a light bulb moment. One day you're like, oh wow, I didn't even think about that. And so that's what you need to do. So in our conscious mind, whatever we talk, speak, act, react, that's a big one. How about that? React. Yeah, I'm driving. That road rage person's doing this thing, and I ain't gonna show you what my fingers are doing, but they're doing that, and they're cussing at you. And that's something that really need to check. Where is that root coming from? That's a control thing. But the thing is that we have to, when we get into the trunk, we have to then begin to do our work diligently of reacting and speaking everything from the roots, our deep, deep roots. Now, a lot of people here that are trying to restore to a better life and a healthy way of thinking are going to say, well, I don't know if I can do that. Well, we talked about excuses last time, and that's bull crap. You can do it. It does take effort. You can't be lazy about it. You have to do it. So, any situation you get in, any storm that you're going through, we're going through COVID right now. Whenever you watch this, I don't know what year, we're going through COVID right now, and so many people are going through storms, such big storms. And the thing is that my daughter works in a local hospital, and she has said that the suicide rate is just getting crazy. And that is a spirit thing. That is something that is where your roots are. That why are you thinking this way? What are you thinking? Now, don't get me wrong. There are some medical conditions that really actually need medical attention, but I'm talking about the average person getting through the storm. So if your roots are not allowing your conscious brain to think in a positive, healthy, constructive manner, and we will talk about what healthy is here in a second, because you keep saying healthy mind, healthy mind. What are you talking about? What is healthy? Well, that depends on you and whatever you are geared to be, but I'll talk about that in a second. So we have to take our minds and actually speak with love and what from the roots. So if you're in a situation and you're having an argument, and we're not going to get into that right now, but there's ways to communicate out of that argument. But the thing is, you get in an argument and you're starting to realize that you're using the word you a lot. You did this, you wrong, your mom, your dad, and you have to check yourself, because that's your conscious mind pulling from your subconscious, from your roots. In all reality, we need to take ownership of what we think. So instead of saying you, I'll say, you know what, honey, I feel like I'm not valued because you don't show anything of interest in anything I do. We don't do anything I like. Could we maybe do something, one thing, maybe go shopping, just once in a blue moon. So you're taking that responsibility and ownership back to you. So that is actually a positive way of doing communication, rather than destructive and saying, you did that, you did. Men don't like that. Anyway, so you have to go back to your roots. And that's why this is all connected. The tree cannot live without the roots, and the roots cannot live out without the trunk, and the trunk cannot live out with the fruit of the tree. So this is all connected. Mind, body, spirit. It's all connected. So you can make good decisions if you get your roots right. And the first thing you're going to start thinking on a conscious level is this positive? Is this helpful? Is this loving? Just use those three things. Write them down. Is it positive? Is it helpful? Is it loving? If it is not of any of those three, you might reconsider what you're talking about or what you're doing. Because the thing is, what you want to do is be constructive, not destructive. Because that's the law of attraction. We want to be loving and caring, because then that's what we get back in. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. Okay, let me look at my notes here. And I got to put my I had my glasses on, but I got a tint. So I would be I'm looking at my eyes. So, yeah. So the other thing is when we're looking at our roots, okay, this is really good because I didn't even know I was doing it. I was in my early 20s and I didn't even know I was doing this until one person had pointed it out to me. So what we want to talk about is a healthy mind. So what is a healthy mind? Well, of course, we have to nourish it. We have to feed it. We have to grow it in a positive manner and a constructive manner. But we also have to grow it in truth. Think about that for just a minute. What do you mean truth? What do you mean by mind truth? Well, where does actually your mind work from? It works from your spirit and it works from your roots. So you have to be able to get to the point to walk in truth. Once you begin to walk in truth for yourself, then you can actually begin to blossom. And what I mean by that, for those who haven't watched the videos, and I'm going to remind you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe now. I need you to like, share, and subscribe, please. But for those who haven't watched the videos, is that we want to get to a place, now I forgot my train of thought. We want to get to a place where we are living for ourselves and not for somebody else or somebody else's life, faking it until you make it. We don't want to do that. We want to get to who we are and what we are supposed to do. And do you know that I bet you, if I were to sit down with you right now, that you would sit there and say, well, I do this and I do that. And I would say, well, is that what you like to do? No, not really. Now do this. I'm going to ask you to do this for your homework. If you're sitting there and you're like, well, I really don't like to do it, then why are you doing it? Well, because my mom taught me, and, look at the businesses. A lot of businesses, the kids are growing up and they have to take over the business, and really maybe that's not their dream. I own a business. I've owned businesses. I would never have my daughter own my business if that's not her dream and her goal. But some people do it because they have to live their life for their parents. And that's what you're not supposed to do. If that's your joy, great. If that's what you love to do, great. But nobody should be living their life for you. And the thing is, that's what we get into a situation is we begin from a toddler, a baby, we start doing things the way that other people want us to do it. Then our subconscious and our conscious mind. And then before we know it, we're grown up and we're sitting there. I don't even like swimming. What am I swimming for? I don't even want to do it. Why am I doing this? Because you were trained. Your brain was, I'm not going to say brainwashed, but your brain was actually taught all these things that maybe the family went to the lake at the weekends and they all went swimming, but maybe you really didn't want to and just wanted to sit on the beach. No, Johnny, come on in. The water's nice and warm. So then we start doing those kind of things. Before we know it, our subconscious is taking over our conscious and we have no idea. So the thing is to walk in truth and be true to who you are. And that's what series 1 and 2 do. Ask you, who are you? And walk into truth who you are. Because if you don't, you begin to justify things and you may start minimizing things. So sometimes if we're in thank you. If we're in an abusive, or say somebody's got an addiction to alcohol, and I've worked in chemical dependency for a while, and this happens. I'm sorry, but I know what you do. But the thing is that if you're in an addiction, which I don't even call it an addiction, I call it a stronghold. This is a spiritual stronghold. It can be released, and you can break away from it. It's a choice, but it also is something in the heart. You're broken somewhere, so you're medicating, you're doing it yourself, and that's what has to get to the roots. But the thing is, it's sort of like when somebody says, oh, I had 2 beers, and they're obviously drunk. Oh, I had 2. Just 2. That's it. And then you find out from the bartender that he's probably had a whole case. A bartender would never do that. I used to bartend too, so you would never do that. But that's my point is, they will minimize, oh, I've been sexually abused, but you know what? It's okay. It's not that bad. Minimizing a trauma, minimizing something that has happened to you is not a healthy conclusion or an outcome, because you're stuffing it down further. And that's the shadow work, or that's the negative inner child work that we need to grow and get out of. And you cannot justify those kind of things as well. Well, it was just a little lie. It wasn't bad. It was just a little fib. It was a fib. A lie is a lie. That's not walking in truth. And I'm not talking spiritually, all this kind of, I'm talking about truth to yourself. Because then one little lie turns into another lie, or you have to remember who you told that lie to. You've heard all this before. So the thing is that one little lie is just as bad as a big lie. For Christians, one little sin is just as bad as murder and the big sins. They're all the same. So you got to stay away from anything that is destructive, because a lie is destructive. Minimizing is destructive. Justifying is destructive, because what happens then, your conscious mind keeps picking that up, and then you can't transform your mind to a positive. So when you find yourself minimizing something, if you're in a car accident and wow, you know what? I broke my leg, I broke my arm. Wow, it really was bad. I'm really, you're not asking for pity. You're not asking for sympathy. You're actually, it's not that, it is bad. And it's okay to say it's that bad, because that's how we get through growing that little child up. And that's how we make a better conscious decision about choices and things that we want. You like the bad boys, you want to date the bad boys, but you know what? When you're in your 30s, it's like, I can't get any good man. What's wrong with that? Well, because you were picking the bad boys because of the choices that you were making from the roots that you had. So then you end up redoing the cycle over and over again. And then when you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, you're like, why? So you got to get from your subconscious to your conscious. And that's how we have to start to think about our mindset in the trunk. Because when you start to think, okay, why am I answering this way? Why am I angry? Why am I negative? Why? And I don't like using this, but why did I let him do that? I don't need to do that. I don't need to let him do that. I don't need to let her do that. And nobody lets anybody do anything to him. We allow it. And why did I allow it? Those kind of things. That's your conscious just doing automatic. That's got to stop, because you got to sit there and change that automatic to a transform to a positive, and just say, you know what? I don't like that. And I don't want you to do that to me anymore. And I'm not talking about serious abuse. Let me tell you, I talk to people in that. I'm a support in a lot of that. But I'm talking about anything. You don't want to sit in the back seat of the car when you go on a road trip all the time. You know what? No, I don't like the back seat. I'm actually sitting in the front seat today. Nothing wrong with it. It's not hurting anybody, but you're doing something for yourself that you want. You're not faking it anymore. You're not going along with it. You're not sitting there saying, oh, it's okay. You know what? Just let them be. It'll all be okay. No, you have to really think about what you want, you desire, and everything like that. Okay. So the other opposite of, so we justify, we minimize. That's got to go away. Now, in any time that you have to take something away, then you have to replace it with something. If you don't replace it with something positive, like a bad habit, you have to replace it with a good habit. If you want to, for some of my clients, you want to do a life change of your eating. Okay, you're going to take away sugar, but you're going to put, what else do you like that might be sweet but doesn't have all that sugar? Let's find a substitute or something in that place. So that's what you have to do for your brain and your thought process as well. So when you begin to justify or minimize something which you want to break away from, because that's destructive, then you have to replace it with something. And that something just might be accountability, or it might be taking ownership of something. So if somebody says, like, well, you said you liked to go to the movies. Well, I did say that, and I apologize because that wasn't truthful. Now you're talking about truth for yourself. You don't care what they believe. You're talking truth to yourself. But in all actuality, I am not one to go to the movies, so I prefer not to go to the movies anymore. So you're taking action and accountability for one, not being honest with that person, but two, you're being accountable to yourself by telling the truth. And so everything that we do, we need to be accountable for. I won't go over there. No, I'm not going there because they want me to talk about narcissism. Then I'm not going to do it. So the thing is that we want to be accountable for anything that we do, say, act, or react. So you've got a road rage driver, gets out of the car, starts yelling at you. It's your responsibility to be accountable for how you act. Let him go off. Who cares? As long as it doesn't have a gun pointed at your face, I'd be on 911 if there was a gun. But the thing is that you need to be accountable for you and how you act and react. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. So the homework for this week is going, because we're getting a little long. I want to try to keep these at 30 minutes. So the homework for this week, see if you're justifying your actions, making excuses, because remember what excuses are. It's all like something in the back behind that stink and nobody like them. So stop making excuses, stop justifying, and stop minimizing. If something has happened to you that's traumatic or something, a death, oh my goodness, that's huge. When I lost my mom, you cannot minimize. Oh, it's okay. I really loved her, or we didn't get along that great. No, this is a loss. This is a loss. Don't minimize anything that happened to you. And if you need to really talk to somebody about it, please seek some help, seek some professional help. I am not a professional psychiatrist or psychologist. I am here to listen if you need somebody or guidance to where you might go and find it. Trust me, resources all over the place, but please, if you have some major trauma in your life, please seek some professional help because they will help you get to the roots, get on track, and be able to get to that trunk of the tree where then all those conscious choices, decisions, and peace comes right there on the trunk. And I'm going to tell you, the roots take a lot of hard, dark work. It is dark and dreary down there. It is very dark and dreary. It's damp. You don't want to be there, but you got to do it because those roots start from a seed, and that seed turns into a small plant. That small plant turns into a bigger plant and tree. And before you know it, you've got a full harvest of beautiful there. And that's what I want to help you get to. So remember, homework for this one is accountability is a positive, and my brain's going. Taking ownership is a positive to the negative of justifying and minimizing. So that's your homework. Really dig deep. Please dig deep. Because even if you just get one little thing to notice, to rectify, or even you're like, oh, why did I just say that? Oh, yeah. Oh, I remember her saying, oh, yeah. So how do I take ownership for that? Or how do I take accountability for that? Stop yourself in the tracks immediately and take a second. It's okay. And fix it. You can fix it right there. And watch how free you feel when you start doing that. All right. So that's your homework. Now, before you go, please like and share. And also go on Facebook and see me at getbalance2020.com, or go ahead and go to my website. All the YouTube videos are there. Just click on YouTube. I'm lost. Getbalance2020.com. It's been a long day. I just got off work, so I'm just having fun doing this. You guys have a wonderful night, day, wherever you are in the world watching this. I thank you for all the people that are on my Facebook from all over the world. And watashi no nihonjin de arigatou gozaimashita. Minasan genki de ne. Ja, ganbatte yo. Ja ne. Ja, bye bye.